tonight's a Q&A session, and I want you, we're going to deliver a few things. I think, Matt, are you going to be driving this part of it? Is that right?
Yeah, certainly at the beginning. I'll probably pass a few things to the other guys, and we'll introduce ourselves and that. But I'll explain when I take over.
So what I want to cover is, what is it that we're going to be training for? What depth will it get to? What are the prerequisites? What are the health requirements? What are your fitness requirements? What type of gear do you need? Do you have to buy the gear first? Can you rent the gear from anywhere? If you buy gear, what type of gear should it be? What quality? And also, when you enroll with us, there's some inclusions in there, which are either belt or a mask. So we're going to talk about that in general. Then we're going to talk about how the training rolls. It's 2 days. What's the theory like? We're doing PADI theory, I believe. Is that right, Matt?
Yes. Yeah.
Look, I'll be really honest with you. I'm a PADI instructor. I've done the SSI free diving course, and I've done the PADI one, and I found the PADI theory much better for some reason. I can't tell you why, but it was much more streamlined. It was easier for me to understand, so I really enjoyed it. So we'll talk about what does the training look like. Then we'll talk about what's life like after that. How does your life change? And, I'll be able to explain to you what it's meant for a lot of our people, a lot of the Gold Coast Dive Snorkel people that have already done the training. It's changed their lives because now they don't have to carry tanks around. They can dive down anywhere. People are talking about it being extremely spiritual, and your breath hold increases. It's much more surreal when you're diving down in amongst sea creatures. And the other incredible thing that's happened as well is we've managed to deliver some really cool GoPro training. So you're going to find that a lot of your buddies in Gold Coast Dive Snorkel are running around with GoPros. We don't sell GoPros. We don't profit from anything like that. It's just a great tool for us to capture memories. And those modules are on YouTube if you want to go back and refresh them. But all of our free divers running around with GoPros, some of the footage is National Geographic style. The quality of it's amazing. And we've got footage of our free divers with humpback whales and calves only meters away, dolphin pods, octopus, a whole range of things. So we'll talk about what life looks like after, and then what's the possibility of further development and further training after you do your level 1. So that's the task we'll go on. So I'll hand over to you, Matt, and just let us know what's the foundations. How do we prepare for this? What is our fitness levels going to be like? What does the medical look like? What does the medical, what does the medical look like? What forms? How long does the theory take? So let's start with those questions.
Okay, so the way that that we were looking to plan this was to kind of give a bit of an introduction and then go through all of those questions probably while we were explaining like how the course runs and all those kind of things. So would you prefer it like that, or
no,
would you prefer it to go through question by question?
Take the pain off my shoulders. You do it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, first of all, welcome everyone. So my name is Matt. I'm one of the instructors and founders of Oceansense. So the way that we're looking to run this session is going to be, first I'm going to give everyone a bit of an introduction to Oceansense, how Oceansense was formed, when it was formed, and what it is that we do. Then I'm going to pass over to the other guys to introduce themselves, just so you can get to know who your instructors are. And then the instructor on the Gold Coast that you're most likely going to see is going to be Gonzalo, and he's going to talk you through how the course is going to run and the logistics and things like that. And then from there, if there's any questions that we haven't perhaps answered, feel free to then talk to us and let us know how we can take those questions kind of as they come and direct them to whichever of us is probably best to answer that. Okay?
Let's do it.
Awesome, cool. So Oceansense. Oceansense was actually born about 5 years ago, when myself and Gonzalo, who is the other director, he'll introduce himself shortly, we were both working in the scuba industry in Airlie Beach, and we were both taking divers out to the Great Barrier Reef. And at the time, Airlie was really busy with heaving, and we both had this crazy dream of starting a free diving school. And of course, we had all these great ideas, but around that 4 or 5 years ago, COVID started to set in. Well, that was when we had the dream anyway. And then once we finally put it into plan, COVID hit. So that dream kind of died a little bit. And we both ended up on the Sunshine Coast. And that is where we kind of decided to pick that dream up again and run some courses. Now, freediving for us, to be honest, was something that we, at the beginning especially, didn't really know if it was going to go anywhere. But with COVID, I'm sure that you can remember, we weren't allowed to really go anywhere. Everyone was kind of restricted to their local area. So we kind of found that people were really looking to do something different in the ocean in their local area. So we had scuba divers, surfers, people who were snorkelers, people who, you know, never really been in the ocean before, looking to do new local stuff and support local businesses. So our business just kind of boomed. And all of a sudden we were doing courses every weekend, meeting all these amazing people. And we were like, okay, cool, there's something in this. Me and Gonzalo have been passionate about freediving for years. We're really passionate teachers, but also we're really passionate about, you know, freediving teaching, freediving safety, and also freediving competing. So all three of us also do freediving competitions now also. Once we were in Sunny Coast and that kind of built to a certain level, we decided to take it back to Airlie. So then we had 2 locations. And then most recently, in the last year and a half, we've been operating in Gold Coast as well. And yeah, all 3 areas have been super, we've been super lucky. And we've built up from pretty much nothing in the Sunshine Coast to now where we're running 3 locations and courses pretty much every weekend. I'm usually based up in Airlie, but I've just moved to Sunshine Coast. Jenna is in Sunshine Coast, and as I mentioned earlier, Gonzalo is mainly on the Gold Coast. So that's a little bit about how Oceansense was born and how we kind of came to be. Jenna, the other instructor who will introduce herself, she is our 3rd instructor, obviously, and she is our marketing expert. So if you've ever seen our name around anywhere, that's usually from the hard work that Jenna does. She has a background in digital marketing, which I'm sure she'll tell you all about shortly. Before I pass over to the other guys for introductions, I'll just tell you a bit about myself. So I'm from England. You might have already noticed from the accent. So I've been in Australia for about 6 years. I'm also a scuba diving instructor. I came to freediving from scuba. So I, like many people, just absolutely love the ocean and loved scuba diving. Really enjoyed my scuba diving activity. And I remember seeing these people doing freediving and just thinking, wow, those people are awesome underwater. I wonder how to do that. And I tried it one day, and my first thought was, I don't like this. I like to be able to breathe. I prefer scuba. That was my initial thought. And then I just continued to do it and saw this other life that freediving provides. And instead of being one or the other, and it will probably be the same for many of you guys that have already done the course, instead of it being scuba diving or freediving, it's now both. And I get to do both of those things and enjoy the ocean in both of those ways, which is amazing. And they both give me different things. You'll probably hear all of our different stories and how we all came to freediving, but I just think it's important for you guys to know kind of where we come from, just to give our background so you can kind of see what diversity lies within Oceansense. So now I'm going to pass over to Jenna. She's going to introduce herself, and then Gonzalo after.
Hi guys, I'm Jenna. As Matt mentioned, I'm based in the Sunshine Coast, but I do come down to Gold Coast quite often and teach with Gonzalo. It's a beautiful place. It's probably, don't tell anyone in the Sunshine Coast, but I probably prefer diving in Gold Coast actually. So yeah, I love it there. But I started freediving about 3 years ago. It was a hobby that I picked up during COVID actually. Funnily enough, I was one of those people who decided to give freediving a go when there wasn't too much else to do. I had scuba dived for quite a few years before that. My parents actually met on a scuba diving trip in Great Keppel Island, so I think it was in my destiny to do something diving related at some point in my life. So yeah, pretty much all I did for the year of 2020 was free dive, and started when I did my level 1 course, just like you guys are considering doing. I had no intention of becoming a freediving instructor at that point, but when I did my first course, I just fell in love with it and kept training and kept practicing, and yeah, I went right through and did my instructor's course, and I've been teaching for about 2 years now, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, I love sharing it with people, and yeah, just seeing the seeing the joy on people's faces when they discover freediving for the first time as well. Yeah, it's really exciting. I'm definitely one of those people that you'll see with a GoPro in my hand under the water. From a marketing background, I love taking videos and creating underwater content and all that sort of thing. So yeah, if you do a course with me, you'll probably end up on social media at some point if you're okay with that. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. As Matt said, Gonzalo will be the face you're most likely to see on your first day of the course in Gold Coast. So I will pass over to him to introduce himself.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jenna. Well, my name is Gonzalo, guys. Hello, everyone. Once again, a little bit about myself. Once an engineer back home, I decided to live a little bit that life that was not really bringing me joy. When I was really young, I used to surf big waves. It was my thing to do bodyboarding, just drop from big waves until one day I got myself into big trouble, almost drowning in the ocean. And then that's when that's when I started to research about breath hold techniques and everything. But it wasn't until I was living in Thailand about 8 years ago that I discovered that breath hold training, freediving was not just a survival skill, but a leisure activity. And that's when I really found my connection with the ocean. I was also scuba diving there in Thailand, but after finding the way that I could interact with animals, how the interaction itself with the animal, the encounter was actually more intimate with them when I didn't have a tank and these blowing bubbles and everything. It was just amazing, and I fall in love with it. But I continue my training. Eventually, when I met in Bali, we decided to create this basically out of a hustle. And then I discovered that freediving also got competitions. I got into competitions to be proud to say that now I'm a 4-time national record holder. So we train together, and we always continuing, like Matt said, the three of us compete. So we are always continuing to train and develop and understanding all about freediving. So yeah, been freediving for about 8 years, teaching for a bit more than 4 years, and then competing for about 2 years and a half or something like that. So that is me. Really love freediving. I come from Peru. I mentioned that. That's where my accent is from. If you were curious about it, yeah, you will have to deal with my accent. I try to make it more neutral, but I kind of bring it on my veins, so it's pretty hard. But what else? So about you had a few questions about the gear and everything on the courses, how it's going to be. In terms of a little bit of logistics, the way we run the courses in Gold Coast is always through. We run them in Runaway Bay Marina. We have an agreement with the dive shop there, so we have all our gear there, and that's where we run our theory sessions. So on an ideal scenario, and I say ideal because the weather always will decide whatever happens. So on an ideal scenario, once you sign in for the course, we will send you an e-learning where you will be able to read in your own time, at your own pace. Maybe you want to give 20 minutes a day, or maybe you want to go straight ahead for 2 hours reading, depending on you. And then on the course day, we will still go through the theory. The theory, it's a presentation that we do based on the requirements, on the standards that the agencies require. In this case, guys, we're going to be doing PADI courses, like George mentioned before. So we'll go through that. Then we'll have an exam that is basically pretty simple and understandable after the theory that we run. it's a very relaxed session. It's not like university. It's not like school. It's not like, oh man, right, I have to study. I'm so stressed about this. We really like our sessions to be relaxed. We always know it's your weekend, it's your day off. We don't want you guys to be like, oh, I have to study this. The good thing about free diving compared to scuba diving is like if you just kick your way up, it's okay. So everything but stressful, it will always be. Then we will have a break. That theory part is gonna go be around 3 hours usually. Then we have a break. Then we go for a meal. Then we meet again for a breath work. The breath work is not much about us breath work itself. Don't think of if you ever done breath work when you go and do very manipulated breath. No, we just go into the safety side of it, how to do this, how to do that, recovery breathing, how to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and all the aspects of how to relax and how to do your breathe up and your dive for the moment that you actually holding your breath. Then we will jump in the pool, do the skills that we need to do. We also put a few more skills that what the agencies require, just so you feel more confident by the time that we go in the water, in the ocean, sorry. We would usually finish day one. This is what we call day one. We would usually finish somewhere around 3:30, 4 p.m. on the Saturdays or day one, whenever we do it. And then on day two, which is typically a Sunday, we will go out on the boat to put the rest of the requirements in place, to put in practice our skills. And we usually run that in the morning, again in Runaway Bay Marina. We meet at around 6:15, 6:30. We rent a whole boat for ourselves in order to have only free divers on the boat, so we can drift all together. We do like a setup in the ocean where the buoys and the lines are just drifting with the current, so we don't have a line hanging or like a little bit of movement, which is a little bit annoying for teaching. We have straight lines down, all the system drifting, very safe. We have our boat going around us, protecting us and making sure that everyone is comfortable. And we usually come back around midday. What is very important in the course is like we never really focus on numbers. We don't really care like I want you to do this number, this depth, this in the pool. There are numbers that needs to be done in order to get a certification. But more important than that is what you are learning and understanding. And just being in the water is going to actually really develop you as a free diver. When it comes to gear, we always say that the best way to learn is with the gear that you have, the gear that you know. There's a specific map for free diving, a specific wetsuits, a specific fins, yes. But if you have your scuba gear, coming on the first course with that, it's still perfectly doable. The first course that I did for free diving was wearing bodyboarding fins, 2 wetsuits, nylon weight belt, and a very big mask and a very scuba diving kind of snorkel in Peru because it was really cold. That was my first proper course of free diving, and I was able to do my stuff. So that being said, we rent gear. We have 5 mil and 7 mil, some of them 7, most of them 5 mil wetsuits from Crazy. They are all fairly new. They are pretty much new. That's why we have to rent them. They cost $25 for the 2 days. And we also have plastic long fins, also from Crazy, also pretty much new, that they also cost $25 for the 2 days. You can rent just for 1 day, which is 15. So for example, in the pool, now that the summer is coming, you don't need a 5 mil. Maybe just a surf wetsuit would do. That's totally fine. You can just on the day decide what you want to wear, and if you use one of us, then that's when we charge. If not, that's all good as well. Mask, snorkel, weight belts, we will provide you. Now, when we have a special agreement that we were talking with George before, thanks to Crazy, we will be, when you sign up as part of the Gold Coast Dive Snorkel with us, you will get to choose between having a free diving weight belt choose a rubber weight belt or a mask. If you already have a mask, you could get a rubber weight belt, which is most likely that you probably don't have, because most of people usually have a scuba diving weight belt. We are getting a Marseillaise buckle rubber weight belt specifically for free diving from Crazy, which is the same one that we use. And then a low profile mask. So if you don't have a mask, maybe you can get a mask, but that would be totally up to you at the moment of the course to choose. And of course, somebody asked about continuing training. We run sessions in all of our locations, including Gold Coast, of course. The sessions on Gold Coast happens in Runaway Bay Marine, in Runaway Bay, not in the marina, but Gold Coast Performance Center, which is where we do the course. It's a very nice complex, sport complex, top of the line, with a 50-meter pool. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 4:15 to 5:30 p.m. we run a training session, which will be included in your course for 2 weeks. So after you do your course with us, you have 2 weeks to come and train for free. Because of course, what you learn on the course is the basic, is the fundamentals, but practicing and getting in the water is will actually develop your breath hold and your comfort underwater. So in these sessions, we run different things. We go through technique, CO2 training, O2 training, all sort of things on a very dynamic way of doing it. It's a nice community. It's a nice group that we train there. And then after your 2 weeks of coming to continue your course, then it's just $30 a week what we charge to continue coming to these courses as much as you want. I think I have even spoken out of my line, but yeah, that is basically about the course. I don't know if I have covered all the stuff that we needed, but I think Matt, you were going to explain a little bit more about some of the stuff.
Yeah, I'll take over if you want. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Gonzalo, for that. So basically, Gonzalo covered quite a lot there in terms of the logistics. I think the main thing to get across is that this course is really designed for anyone, no matter what experience you are. So if you're someone that's just been introduced to the ocean and you've just started snorkeling, playing around, that's awesome. This course will suit you because we will go through the absolute fundamentals of freediving for you. So the best thing, I always say this on courses, but the best thing about freediving is that it draws people from all different areas. As I mentioned before, we have surfers, spearfishermen, scuba divers, snorkelers, people who are trying to overcome fears. All of these people are drawn from different areas, all to join this freediving community that we have. And the reason why I believe that freediving is so popular is because it does draw from all of those different areas. So it will take basically anyone, give them the fundamentals, and then people will take those fundamentals and add them to whatever area of freediving they wish to do. Whether that is, I want to be a better snorkeler so I can dive down and take awesome photos of a turtle, or whether it is, I want to be a better spear fisherman, or maybe it's that you're a scuba diver and that you want to be better with your air consumption. Because the breathing techniques that Gonzalo mentioned earlier that we go through, we never do like hyperventilation or anything like that, but it will give you better breath control, which will then lead to better air consumption, which I know myself has really helped with my scuba diving. And I know is one of the things that a lot of scuba divers do struggle with. So that's definitely a plus side, and that's definitely a way of helping something like scuba diving. Yeah, I suppose now we've gone through a fair few of those questions, but is there anything that anyone else wants to ask? Is there any kind of questions that you want to throw at us? Gonzalo, I don't know if you're allowed to ask questions, mate.
Yeah, sorry, before, I know that there was a question about the medical forms, like what the prerequisite. So to answer that, we have a medical questionnaire from PADI that if all your answers are no, happy days. If one of the answers says yes, then it will need to be signed by a doctor. Now, in order to save the struggle, like wait until last minute, I'm gonna share on if this is okay, George, I'm gonna share on the meeting chat a link which has the straight to send you straight to the PADI form, to the medical form, so people can read there and see if they need. It needs to be signed by their GP. And then, yeah, that was that thing. If anybody has any other questions, please, we're here to
Yeah, I've
listen
got a
and
question.
answer them.
Yes,
Okay.
please share the link. Now, when I was doing my course, and I'm sure many others feel the same way, there's a bit of anxiety as to, hey, can I do this? What happens if, we're in the pool and we've got a fin up the length of the pool, and what if I'm only going to fall short and I'm going to feel a bit embarrassed, and how much pressure is there on me? How patient will you instructors be with us? Because that goes through a lot of people's head. So that's the question.
That's a great question, and to be honest, a lot of people will feel that way going into a freediving course. Freediving is the same as any kind of sport, right? Like, you don't know if you're going to be good at it until you're actually there and you do it. So what we try to do is, it's the same, I guess, with learning anything, but you always start with the knowledge, right? To learn something, you start with the theory and the knowledge. We want to get our students kind of clear in the knowledge area of freediving before we put in the practical. So before you even set foot in the pool, you're kind of going to be prepared as to what to expect. But also, we're going to go through like the breathing techniques with you, the how to take a full breath, what the best ways to fin in freediving, the body positionings, all of these things which will start to already gain confidence before you get into the pool. We actually find that a lot of the time when people come to a course, within 20 minutes, they're like, I already feel better about holding my breath because now I understand what's actually going on when I'm holding my breath. Whereas before, they would hold their breath and feel this horrible kind of feeling that just makes them breathe, right? But once you understand what that feeling is, and you start to think, hang on a second, I can actually relax through that feeling, you start to realize how amazing your body actually is. And you just get this whole new confidence. We see it all the time. Of course, there is that still that pressure of when you get in the pool and you're like, oh, this is nervous, but everyone else is also feeling that as well. And that's something that we as instructors, it's our job to facilitate, right? So we want to make sure that you guys are relaxed. We want to make sure that we give you plenty of time. And I would say that the other guys would probably agree. I'd say this has been a real kind of trademark of ours, and definitely a big value in our business, is that we're never in a rush with our students. Like, we always want to take time and make sure that they actually do understand the fundamentals of freediving. It's not just a tick and flick kind of course. It's not like, oh, we're going to pay the money and the instructors are just going to say, yeah, well done, you did the requirement once, you're now certified. Like, we're passionate about teaching not only the safety of freediving, but we want to create strong, good freedivers, and that's a value that we all share between the three of us. So that kind of comes across in our business, in our business values. So yeah, and in answer to your question, of course, people are always going to be nervous, but we feel that we have a course that creates strong and confident freedivers. And hey, if it takes a bit more time, then that's just the way it is, and we'll be there to give it to you.
Nice. So my wife Sharon said to me, I never ever want you to do a freediving course because you'll hurt yourself anyway. I think I enrolled in a course without a knowing, but then I told her. But then I learnt about this mammalian reflex thing. Can you explain to me what that's about? Like, we are actually mammals, and we're designed. Can you explain a little bit to us?
Sure. This is going to be a good one for Gonzalo. He loves talking about this stuff, so I'll pass over to him.
Sure. So yes, we are mammals, and the mammalian diet reflect what it is. It's meant in our DNA.
You're breaking up quite a lot.
What exactly it is, how it comes from, I hope I'm not crossing any strong religious person. Oh, okay. Is it back over you? I'm sorry.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe Jenna, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can. Sure. Sorry, Gonzalo, you were breaking up really badly there. It was quite difficult to hear. But yes, to sort of pick up where Gonzalo was sort of leaving off, I think. Yeah, the mammalian dive reflex, as George mentioned, is our body's way of allowing us to hold our breath underwater. So we go through it in a lot of detail in the course, but essentially it's our body's reaction to, or our body's physical reaction to us holding our breath underwater. So our bodies are actually built to help us hold our breath underwater. And the way that our body reacts helps to calm us, helps to slow our heart rate down, helps to make it more comfortable for us to hold our breath underwater longer. So we sort of do get into the science behind that in the course a lot more. And as Matt was saying, once you understand the science behind it, it really helps you to relax when you are holding your breath underwater as well. So yeah, without kind of delving into a whole bunch of the sort of course content and keeping you here for a couple of hours, our bodies, I guess, just knowing and understanding that our bodies are actually capable and built to hold our breath underwater.
So I've got another question, if that's okay. How long could we expect that the theory would take us to complete online?
Yeah, I'll take that one, I guess. So the theory component is usually depending on the speed that you read. The way that PADI try to present the e-learning is different ways of that people learn, right? So there's like written, there's video, and there's also like audio. So it tries to kind of cover the different types of learning styles, but usually takes around about, the average person, I'd say 2.5 hours. But if you want to just chip away at it, you know, like Gonzalo said earlier, 20 minutes a night kind of thing, you kind of want to make sure you digest the information. And this is part of the reason why we do the theory session as well, because again, people learn differently. We like to do the theory that's been covered in the online learning, but also add more into it as well. So you get to learn all of what you've learned from a human, so it's human to human interaction, but also adding other stuff in there from our own personal experiences with freediving and things that we've added into the course that we feel is important for a level 1 freediver to know.
Oh, so what's the depth that level 1 can take us to?
So for a level 1 course, the minimum requirement is 10 meters. Yeah, so when we say 10 meters, and this just goes back to what I was saying before, like 10 meters nice and comfortably. So with good equalization, with good streamlining, good finning technique, all of the things that we would expect to create for you in those 2 days. The maximum we can let you go to would be 16 meters. So 16 meters on the level 1 course is the max, and then 10 is the requirement. Yeah, you probably agree. If you were getting a certification from your scuba diving instructor days, George, you wouldn't certify someone who just kind of knew how to use the equipment. You want to make sure that person is confident, and of course, we want to make sure you're confident, and you want to make sure you're confident, right? Yeah. Yeah. So,
any other questions? There must be some burning questions that people have out there.
That was my question. How much time you needed for the e-learning? So that's quite reasonable, 2.5 hours.
Hey, Bronwyn, it took me 3 hours, eh?
Did it?
I'm not the brightest kid on the block. So listen, just to be clear, if I may kick in. So day 1, you're in the pool and we're swimming horizontally, correct? But day 2 in the ocean, can you explain the process? You put a line in, and which way are you swimming down, and how does that work?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if your service is any better, Gonzalo. You want to try and take this again?
Is it working? No.
Yeah,
Or
you
the same.
through.
Works good. Yeah. So for the ocean way of doing it, it's we go on the boat. We always take no more than 4 students per buoy. So usually it's 2 of us in the boat, and then we do a setup in the ocean, which basically we connect the buoys. Sometimes we bring even another instructor to make it even less people per instructor. It depends on the instructor's availabilities and some other stuff. So we set up the buoys, and then we have a drop line. Let's call it like a line that drops down. We start on a very small depth, because we are going to be drifting in the ocean. We don't go to a location, let's say, to explore or to see the reef or stuff like that, because in the course we want to develop your skills. It's not just going down to 10 once and then, woohoo, I'm a certified freediver. Sometimes it is quite common that students cannot make the 10 meters on the first day, mostly related to equalization issues. But it is about what you're learning, the skills, and then naturally progression will show up. All right. So in the ocean, we start increasing little by little depth, and the
We've lost you again, Gonzalo. Looks like he's dancing.
absolutely no pressure.
Yeah, we've missed you. You've gone out again, mate.
Doing the requirements. So that means maybe we go on the buoy, 2 people are going easy, 2 people are having a difficult time to do that. There's no like, oh, you have to go, you have to go, you have to make it, come on, let's go again. No, it will always be, of course, encouraging, but totally like, oh, you know what, today I don't feel it. We go training a lot. Is it breaking? We go training a lot, even feel it today to do certain depth or stuff like that. So yeah, no, it is our job to teach you and help you to instructors to help you and teach you and bring the skills to the course for you to be able to. We really enjoy teaching. So I don't know if this answers the fact of
I think Matt, you might want to take over.
how the Sundays or the day 2 is done. Sometimes if the visitor we cannot manage at all, we sometimes go to
Gonzalo, the service is really bad, mate.
well,
Yeah, you
it's like
keep
it's
dropping in,
not
dropping
working.
in, yeah, in and out.
Yeah.
Just to kind of cover what Gonzalo was saying there, what I took out of that is that so in the pool, you're basically going to kind of get ready for the ocean day. Now, you're going to cover all the techniques that you're going to need in the pool. So for example, we'll start off with just breath holding. So not doing anything, holding your breath, putting your face in the water, and basically just relaxing. Okay. So that is what we call static breath holding. And that will be your first introduction into breath holding in the pool. The second thing we will then do is we will then get you breath holding, but on the move. Now, instead of introducing depth straight away, what we will do is we will get you to swim underwater to try and get to a distance of 25 meters. So that's the requirement for the level 1 is 25 meters underwater. That's distance, by the way, guys, not depth. So the real aim of this session, to be honest, is more just to work on your technique and comfortability in the water. So we want to make sure that you have nice kicking technique, that you feel comfortable moving your feet kicking, that you have good streamlining positions so you can move through the water effectively, so that you feel comfortable with that breath hold. So it's really a kind of time where we spend making you comfortable and just making sure that you're ready for the ocean. There is absolutely no problem if by the end you say to us, oh, look, I don't feel that comfortable going to the ocean tomorrow. We'll say, yeah, no worries, absolutely fine. Come back and do another pool day. And then if you're ready, then come into the ocean. We're never going to push you. That's what I think Gonzalo was trying to say there. We'll never, push you to go and to push yourself too far out of your comfort zone. Of course, there's always an element of going outside your comfort zone. That's how we progress. But we're never going to push you to do something you don't want to do. As Gonzalo was also saying there as well, equalization is one of the defining factors for depth, obviously, in freediving, and one of the biggest reasons that people, or one of the biggest hurdles that people can face when they do go out into the ocean. So to combat this, we've actually added a fair amount into our freediving courses that will work on equalization. And Gonzalo is actually somewhat of an equalization expert, so that's good for you guys on the Sunshine Coast. So he will take you through equalization, which actually does differ from scuba diving, which if you didn't know, then you'll find that out on our course. So we will develop you and take you through this kind of journey on day one to make sure that by the end we say, okay, how do you feel with your equalization? Do we think it's good? Do you think it's good? How do you feel with your technique? How is your breath holding the pool? Do you feel confident? Are you ready to start on day two? Then if you're like, yeah, I'm good to go, which we do find that most people are like, that was awesome, we want to get going, we book you on for the next day. And then we will do 2 in-water sessions in the ocean. And they will look like, basically they will look like either 2 depth sessions, I'll explain what that means in a moment, or 1 depth session, and depending on the weather and the conditions, then we'll go to explore a dive site. So that could be somewhere like the Scottish Prince Wreck, and other dive sites around the Gold Coast. So when we say depth session, if you're wondering what we're all the boys and we're talking about in lines, and if that doesn't make any sense to you, then to put it simply, there's a free diving float, a round float that's like this. It has an inner tube, like a car inner tube, and that is effectively what holds the line at the surface. The line goes down to a certain depth. So that line, for example, when we go out on the second day, for the first session or for part of it, that may be set at only 5 meters, because we want you to get comfortable first at 5, 6, 7 before we say, okay, now get your requirement done. We want to make sure that you are comfortable and that you can equalize properly and that you can relax and all those things. So that's what we mean by having a freediving buoy, a line, and then that line will hang with a weight, and that is effectively what you will use to go down to get the depth. Now, of course, as Gonzalo was saying also earlier, that is only to get those skills and to perfect them. When you're diving like with turtles or on the Scottish Prince or Cook Island, for example, you're not going to have a line when you're recreational diving on the reef. These are just skills that you will then go, okay, cool, I just learned how to duck dive, equalize to 10 meters in a safe and confident way. I'm now going to go and chill with this turtle and take a video for a minute or whatever you want to do alongside this turtle. And then that's you applying the skills that you've learned. Or maybe you might find that you'll use the skills for a different reason. Like I mentioned earlier with the breathwork side of things, you might translate those breathing techniques into scuba diving or your day-to-day life or surfing or whatever it is you do. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're going to give you all these skills. We're going to show you how to perfect them, all the things you're going to need. You're going to then say, okay, thanks Oceansense, I have all these skills. I'm now going to go and apply them into the area that I want to. If that makes sense. And then, as Gonzalo said, there's plenty of time to come with us to train. We run trips pretty much most Sundays to go out into the ocean. Pool training, Gonzalo runs twice a week, and we have other things rolling on through the year as well. Hopefully that was an answer that was kind of combined for both of us that answered that.
There's a couple of questions in the meeting chat that I've seen come through. So maybe we'll just answer those quickly.
Yeah.
So Mary had a question that is a really good question. Why is there a minimum depth when we're not focused on numbers? And Carol, in a similar way, said, so the course is a certification, for example, pass-fail scenario. If you can't get to 10 meters, you fail. So I guess there's a couple of different ways to look at this. If you're wanting to get your freediving certification, then this course is a level 1 freediving certification that has some requirements for numbers in the pool as far as distance that you can hold your breath in the pool, and then depth for diving in the ocean. So if you're wanting a level 1 freediving certification, then that is available as part of this course. If you're just wanting to come along and learn and have some fun, that is completely fine as well. So if you're not worried about a certification at the end of it, but you just want to have a bit of fun, learn some new skills, learn to hold your breath underwater a little bit longer, then that's completely fine as well. So when we say we're not focused on numbers, we're just saying that there's a place for everyone in this course. If you're wanting the certification, then we will help you one step at a time get to that 10-meter depth. If you're not too worried and you get to the end of the day and say, I dived 5 meters today, which is 4 meters deeper than I've ever dived before, you're happy, we're going to be stoked for you. So yeah, just there's a place for everyone within the course. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, like Gonzalo said earlier, we're here to support and facilitate you guys learning. It's not okay, you're here at a course, so you must do these requirements and you must do this and must. It's not that at all. But of course, it is a PADI course, and those of you that have done PADI courses before, there is obviously requirements to get that certification, but it is by no means you have to do those numbers.
Now, also, if I don't know if you can hear me now, I changed my Wi-Fi. Maybe you do the course and you do want the certification and then you still struggle. We have all the way to 1 year to continue training and practicing to actually complete the course as well. So it's not like, oh, if I don't make it on Sunday, then oh my God, I'm done. Absolutely no. We continue to have more times and more sessions to train. And of course, if you do, I know you guys do a lot of snorkel trips and stuff like that, gather together, going in the water. The more time you spend in the water with the skills that now you know, you will easily develop faster.
Yeah, the water is the greatest teacher, right?
Yes.
George,
George, I think you are on mute.
We had a young lady do the freediving course earlier in the year, and on the second day in the ocean, she never got to 10 meters. And the arrangement is, we're going to work really hard with you to make sure that you get to where you want to get to. So over the next course of 1 month, it was really pleasing to see a whole group of members working with her at the Seaway to help her with the skills. She then popped in on the next course a month later and she passed. So look, I'm watching. I'll be watching carefully. If anyone doesn't pass, and myself, but also Oceansense, we're going to wrap around you and make sure that you get to where you want to get to with your training. Okay, so no anxiety there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important to mention is that it's our passion to create freedivers, right? Like if someone does come along and they do struggle, that is not something new to us. We do see that, and we take those people and we don't say, okay, well, thanks for coming, see you never kind of thing. We take them, we develop them, and I can tell you that those people still stand in our community now, and they're a big part of our communities. And yeah, they continue to train, and they really find, most of the people that do the course really find this kind of passion in freediving, and enjoying the communities and keep progressing.
All right, I think we've got one more question there. A couple more questions. Is there an upper age limit?
Does one of you guys want to? So all that PADI asked for is that the medical forms that Gonzalo has put into a link into the chat. All that PADI asked for is that if you are over the age of 45, you have a doctor's medical clearance, which is the same with pretty much any agency in water and any in water activity, I believe. And then if you answer yes, so if you're below 45 and you answer yes to any of the medical questions, then you will have to get a doctor's report, which I'm not sure we covered that earlier, but yeah, that is the process. And it's funny to mention this because it's actually a really big well-known thing about freediving is that freediving has no age limit. There are females and males setting world records that are up to the ages of like 60 plus, still setting world records. And it seems like freediving is not the same kind of sport as you may find like running or something else that's that tends to have a bit of an age limit. Freediving is something that just seems to go from young to older.
We've got about 20 divers in the 70 to 82-year-old age bracket. Scuba divers, yeah?
Yeah.
Doing really well.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, for PADI, I believe there is no I think there's no like upper age limit, as long they will have a few questions, but I believe like the age one was more from another agency. Somebody's asking about a cert from another agency. My limited penetration, wondering how a crossover would work. I did a course about 10 years ago and have not trained much. Yes. So Barry, about your question, if no matter which certification you have from before, we can always kind of do a refresher. Of course, you mentioned you did it 10 years ago. Maybe it would be worth the evolution of the sport of freediving has a lot happening, especially in the last maybe 5 years. It would be worth um, to do the course again, or if you are confident with your skills, we can do the next level if you have been diving regularly or not. But yes, any other agency, recognized agency that you have done a course, we can continue your progression all the way up to instructors. Actually, we run level 1, level 2, level 3, or PADI freediver, advanced, master, and so on. And then yes, can be your GP. So the document that I sent there, if you print it, you can mark it, and then at the bottom has a place where the GP can sign you if you have any question answered. Yes.
All right, folks, are there any more questions? So if you want to enroll, you go to our event invite. There's a booking link. You pop in there, put in your name, address details, and I think it asks you for your credit card. And then you'll get, that's when you're registered, okay? I don't collect any money. The money goes to Oceansense. You get the choice of a free diving mask or the rubber weight belt. And then if you need a hand with gear, just talk to myself, or we can talk to the great team at Oceansense, okay? Any further questions before we sign off?
That was great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.